and he's shown like the having Seth be afraid of the swing, and they've actually shown that Cesaro has an ability on the mic, so they just got to run with it.
Yeah, they have a chance here. See if they actually go with it. But yeah, like I said, it's a different situation that they have Seth on. Hopefully they capitalize on it and do something with it. That's that.
And one last thing related to Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. I know I'm not a big fan of doing the same feud over and over again, but Owens and Zayn, I'm actually excited to see that match.
Same here. I actually am. Should KO be at a different spot? I believe so, but I think it's just a good storyline. They have a personal history with each other, personal animosity. They go back a long time. So I think, honestly, I hope they steal the show as best they can. I know they will. I think it's going to be a heck of a match, honestly. I think it's, so much going on with Sami Zayn. He's in a good spot in his career. He's in a great character. What he's doing, they needed to do something more. So obviously, but I'm glad they have him. I'm interested in this match by far. Definitely am.
I just think with like Owens being Owens is a great person to have where they have the camera tight in and you can hear him talking. Owens is the best person for that, especially with. I think it was last Friday, where he stunned them. He goes, "See, if you keep doing this ridiculousness, this is going to keep happening. I'm going to keep stunning you until you learn." That is a good way to build upon it. And
oh yeah,
I prefer Owens to be in the top of the card. I'm a big Owens fan, but they show that they are like, well, we don't have anything for Sammy. What can we do? Let's get Owens. He'll make it entertaining. Get Owens.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's obviously they see the personal history they've had for a long time, whether it was in WWE or before WWE ever came into their picture.
Yeah.
So it's that personal animosity going on there too, and I think I've heard a number of people. What's Owens going to jump off of this year? Is he going to jump off the pirate ship? I think they're having that discussion last year too. If he's going to jump off the pirate ship, but they didn't make it. I don't think they made a no DQ or false count anywhere. I think just a regular match. So, I see a lot of regular matches in this thing too. I thought we were going to see something with the Fiend and Randy Orton as being like a Firefly Funhouse match or something, a little more to it. But it doesn't mean we won't see something good. But I thought they would have more of a stipulation to them too. But they're not going to have a stipulation between Owens and Zayn. So, be interesting to see what happens. What?
No. I was going to lead into the other thing. So, like you and I were talking about the Wednesday Night Wars that were, let's be honest, they weren't really wars.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. They call it the Wednesday Night Wars. What's the war? Okay, you got the war of wanting to get the ratings, but they're not really. They're not
really throwing shots at each other.
No, there's no shots. There's no. I mean, if you obviously we grew up in the Monday Night Wars. I mean, totally different ball game. And it's like, okay, you want the ratings, but that's fine. We all, but you're not just competing against other shows too on the ratings. But it's just, you go back. Let's just go back to Raw, man. Raw, they compete every football season on Monday nights, and that's their competition for that. They have to compete against Monday Night Football. They compete with enough with that, and that's a Monday Night War, but it's a different type of sport. So, I mean, it'd be called Wednesday Night Wars. What's really the big war? It's an alternative. That's it was by how there's no more Wednesday Night Wars. AEW won the war. I'm like, it wasn't really a war. I mean, it was just an alternative. Just if you want to watch NXT, then watch NXT. If you want to watch AEW, watch AEW. You want to watch both, then watch both. When I was a kid, I watched both WWF and WCW. I probably watch a little bit more WCW, honestly. But yeah, I'm not on the whole Wednesday Night Wars. Never seen it. Never seen it being the whole big war going on. But it's cool to see them having to share the same night. Who can do better, as far as the ratings go? But Cody has said, and Triple H, they said it's just they focus on themselves, what they can develop with their show. As far as NXT moving, it was already talked about for at least a year. So, I see them moving to Tuesday nights. That's fine, and yet Impact moving now to Thursday nights, which I can see that. I understand that being the case, but yeah, not really a big fan of being called Wednesday Night Wars. I didn't see what you would call war.
See, and the thing is, I actually thought NXT should have went to Thursday. I thought Thursday would have been better for them, but you still got 5 days a week of wrestling. I actually talked with someone else about this, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm only going to end up watching 2 shows still." But at the same time, it's like now you have 2 major brands in AEW and WWE. AEW is not into the level of WWE, and I completely understand that. And then you got Impact, which is a close third to AEW. So, and of those shows, you have Raw on Monday, NXT on Tuesday, Dynamite on Wednesday, Impact on Thursday, and SmackDown on Friday. That's 5 days you could literally watch wrestling. If you add in a pay-per-view, or in this case, pay-per-view all weekend, you literally have 7 days of wrestling, which is ridiculous.
It's an overkill, but once upon a time, you didn't have all those companies. You didn't have all that action once upon a time, but that's just but not everybody is in to each company. You have your diehard people that are only into Raw and SmackDown. You have your ones that are only in AEW. They might watch Raw and SmackDown. They just watch AEW and Impact. Someone like myself, as I told you, I lost interest more in NXT, but I gained interest back in Impact. So I watch Impact, Raw, Dynamite. I try to make sure my DVR is set for SmackDown, but it's tougher. Then obviously you also know they also have other ways to watch wrestling too. You have a Fight Network and Fight app and other things too.
Down there, I actually know someone that literally will only watch. They only watch NXT and Impact, which is like, wow, really? Those two?
Wow.
I'm kind of surprised you picked those two.
Yeah, but hey, sometimes they're in the that style and the smaller stuff. Not saying nothing against Impact or NXT, but it's I don't know. I'm gonna say it again. Can't stand it when they don't call NXT the main roster. That's like they still don't get the respect. Oh, the main roster is Raw and SmackDown. Well, no, not really what you would call it anymore. NXT has their own major network now. They're on a major network now, and they attract a lot of viewers. I don't see that's no longer your development territory anymore. It's really not. You have wrestlers on there that can compete just fine, even just as good as the ones on Raw and SmackDown. So why is it, I don't see it being Raw and SmackDown being just the main roster anymore. NXT is part of that too. They're not getting that respect as they should.
It's different. It's just how WWE views them, and it probably has a lot to do with the fact that NXT doesn't have the history behind it as Raw and SmackDown.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I understand that as well. But you look at FCW back in the day. They had they had so much history. It wasn't even funny, but they weren't. Obviously that was the development territory back in the day because they were rebuilt as well.
Mm-hmm.
Than the old FCW back in many years ago. So I'm just not keen on how they get viewed. NXT doesn't get when they have like a Survivor Series like last year, they didn't have him being part of it. I'm like, there's no reason not to have him being a part of it. But I just still can't stand. Oh, they're getting called the main roster. They already were. If you're going to NXT, it's cool to be on Raw and SmackDown. Of course, they got a long history. Respect more.
Mm-hmm.
Even Raw has more of it. I get that fact, but it's just I just can't stand it. I said I haven't watched NXT for a little while. I lost interest, but I still have the respect factor that they are. If I'm a wrestler to get called to NXT, hey, I got called to NXT. It's a main roster. I'm not in just their performance center. So, but yeah, but
It,
I'm not a wrestler, so I can't go by how each wrestler feels.
no, of course not. But it honestly, WWE's NXT is brought in so much of attention that from people that lean more like my direction, and what I mean by that is I more so favor like New Japan style and Ring of
Yeah.
Honor. I always prefer the secondary companies, and of course now AEW has probably been the most close to what I would probably run a show like, which is it's good to have. But that's just where I lean, and I do like NXT a lot. They have a couple people on the roster that I don't think should ever go up to the main roster because I'm sorry WWE, but you have ruined so many people there. But there's been plenty like a Ciampa. I'm gonna use Ciampa as an example. I don't think Ciampa would do well on the main roster. He has no interest in going there.
No, he
But he
doesn't.
had one of the best matches that he's had in a while. Some against Gargano, but against Walter this past Wednesday. That was a really good match, and that was the first time they ever had in NXT. They had a person in America challenge for the NXT UK title, which is nuts to think about in the first place.
Yeah.
But the Ciampa was someone that I would not want to go to the main roster because he just will not do well. Raw and SmackDown will completely ruin him as an athlete and as a character. But again, this wasn't really a war. They weren't really taking shots at each other, not like in the sense that Nitro and Raw were doing. And I think honestly, I think the wrestling business as a whole is in a different place. I think.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think Tony Khan, I think Vince McMahon, I think Triple H and Cody, and I picked those four for a specific reason. I think they all understand that it's better to have both than to have just one. So I don't think they're trying to cut throat. I think they're just like, you could go do what you're going to do over there. We're going to do something different over here.
Absolutely. And you look at back in the day with the Monday Night Wars, they fought for their jobs, man. Yeah, if you lost a job or you got released from WWE, you can go to WCW if they wanted you, vice versa. However, there's a whole lot more at stake at that time period in that era. It's like, here now we have the independents that are doing pretty dang good. Different companies, now you have a lot more to offer for companies, a lot more opportunity. But it's like when Nitro, or at least when WCW lost the war, it was like, oh my God, what do we do now? Who's going to get hired? If not, we're losing our livelihoods. This day and age, you don't really have that. You let go, you go somewhere else. Maybe you might not make as much money, you might make more. But it's not the war like it was years ago. It's like I don't even see war's pattern. I just don't see it. Never. I don't think a lot of people do, but a lot of people may view it as a war. Oh, they were on the same night, so it's a war. I'm like, different time period, man. It's just not. It's not really a war. It might help NXT's ratings to move to a different night. We'll see how that pans out in time. But I just, I never was, when they first announced there's a Wednesday Night Wars when it was being NXT versus AEW when it first started, I was like, this is gonna be interesting. See how this pans out as a war. I'm like, I'm like, okay, this is not what the hype was all about. This is not any kind of what I would call Wednesday Night War.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't, but I think people wanted to stir up. When I say people, I definitely mean fans. They want to stir up a little bit more of a war and hoping that there'll be more shots taken at each other, but it just wasn't that. And it's with AEW and the Wednesday Night Wars completely. One of the posts that I seen talked about the fact that this past Wednesday's NXT did better ratings wise. It was like 50,000 viewers. than Dynamite. That